वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन।
यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन।
यमुना तीरवनचारी।
यमुना तीरवनचारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी।
यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन।
यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन।
यमुना तीरवनचारी।
यमुना तीरवनचारी।
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम राम राम
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम राम हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम राम हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम राम हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम राम हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे। Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Radha Ras Bihari Radha Ras Bihari Radhe.
Jaya Radha, Bihari Radha, Bihari Radhe.
Jai Radha Sham Sundar Radha Sham Sundar Radhe.
Jaya Radha, Shyam Sundar Radha, Shyam Sundar Radhe.
Jai Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radhe.
Jaya Radha, Madhav Radha, Madhav Radhe.
Jai Radha Krishna Chandra Radha Krishna Chandra Radhe.
Jaya Radha, Krishna Chandra Radha, Krishna Chandra Radhe.
Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram.
Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram.
Jaya Gopal Deva Jaya Gopal Deva Gopal Deva Jaya Gopal Deva.
Jaya Gopal Deva, Jaya Gopal Deva, Gopal Deva, Jaya Gopal Deva.
Jaya Jagannath Baladeva Subhadra Devi Jaya Jagannath Baladeva Subhadra Devi.
Jaya Jagannath Baladeva Subhadra Devi, Jagannath Baladeva Subhadra Devi.
Jaya Nitai Sachi Sutta Nitai Sachi Sutta Nitai Sachi Sutta Nitai Sachi Sutta.
Jaya Nitai Sachi Sutta, Nitai Sachi Sutta, Nitai Sachi Sutta, Nitai Sachi Sutta.
Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani Tulsi Maharani Jaya Tulsi Maharani.
Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani.
Jaya Shad Goswami Jaya Guru Parampara Shad Goswami Jaya Guru Parampara.
Jaya Shad Goswami, Jaya Guru Parampara, Jaya Shad Goswami, Jaya Guru Parampara.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev Sripad Gurudev Jaya Jaya Sripad.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev Sripad, Gurudev Sripad.
जय बोलो युग धर्म हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। पतित पावन शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। पतित पावन शिला गुरुदेव की जय। हिताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। So, Hare Krishna. I welcome you all on behalf of Bhaktivedanta Institute for our daily study of this transcendental literature of Srimad Bhagavatam. And today we are going to study on Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 5th chapter, verse number 4. I request blessings from all of you, as I may not be really qualified to serve this class to your satisfaction, but I'll try to the best of my abilities. So this chapter 5, is titled Prahlad, the saintly son of Hiranyakashipu, and we are on text number 4 today. Ekada surarat putram. Repeat.
Putram
Ankam aropya pandava.
Kamaropya Pandava
Kapracha katyatam vatsa.
Kaprachakatyatam Vatsa
Manyate sadhu yad bhavan.
Manyate Sadhu Yad Bhavan
Ekada surarat putram.
Ekada Surarat Putram
Ankam aropya pandava.
Ankamaropya Pandava
Papracha katyatam vatsa.
Prachakatyatam Vatsa
Manyate sadhu yad bhavan.
Manyate Sadhu Yad Bhavan
Ekada, once upon a time, Asurarad, the emperor of Asuras, Putram, his son, Ankam, on the lap, Aropya, placing, Pandava, O Maharaj Yudhishthir, Papracha, enquired, Katyatam, let it be told, Vatsa, my dear son, Manyate, considers, Sadhu, the best, Yat, that which, Bhavan, your good self. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. My dear King Yudhishthira, kindly repeat after me. My dear King Yudhishthira,
My dear King Yudhishthira,
once upon a time the king of demons Hiranyakashipu
once upon a time, the king of demons Hiranyakashipu
took his son Prahlad on his lap
took his son Prahlad on his lap
and very affectionately inquired,
and very affectionately inquired,
my dear son,
My dear son,
please let me know
please let me know
what you think is the best
what you think is the best
of all the subjects
of all the subjects
that you have studied from your teachers.
that you have studied from your teachers.
Purport. Hiranyakashipu did not ask his young son anything that would be difficult for him to answer. Instead, he gave the boy a chance to speak plainly about whatever he thought might be best. Prahlad Maharaj, of course, being a perfect devotee, knew everything and could say what the best part of the life is. In the Vedas, it is said, Yasmin Vijnate Sarvam Evam Vijnatam Bhavati. If one properly understands God, he can understand any subject matter very nicely. Sometimes we have to challenge big scientists and philosophers, but by the grace of Krishna, we emerge successful. It is impossible, practically speaking, for ordinary men to challenge scientists or philosophers concerning genuine knowledge. But a devotee can challenge them because the best of everything is known to the devotee by the grace of Krishna. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10.11, Tesham evanukampartam aham ajnanajam tamaha nashyami atma bhavasto Jnana-deepena Bhaswata. Krishna, who is situated in the core of everyone's heart as a super soul, dissipates all the ignorance from the heart of a devotee. As a special favor, he enlightens the devotee with all knowledge by putting before him the torch of light. Prahlad Maharaj therefore knew the best of knowledge when his father inquired from him. Prahlad gave him that knowledge. Prahlad Maharaj was able to solve the most difficult parts of the problem because of his advanced Krishna consciousness. Therefore, he replied as follows. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shriyuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Stute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuva Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Swarupa Damodara Swami Niti Namini Namasad Bhakta Manaye Manipur Udbhavaya Cha Srila Prabhupada Lasatavani Pracharine Ratayate. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatam aham vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinim Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaye Tadaliye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. So once again, Hare Krishna, welcome all. So today we are discussing this very wonderful verse because this verse sets the tone for the nice instructions that will come from Prahlad Maharaj in the subsequent verses. So today we will focus only on not on what he spoke, because that will come in the next verse for that is for tomorrow. So today we will focus upon what is Prahlad Maharaj's thought process. We start with this verse. This verse starts with Ekada. So what does Ekada means? Narad Muni says to Yudhishthira Maharaj, Ekada Asura Ratputram. So normally we say once upon a time. So when we say once upon a time, it means that it's something that has happened long back. Like in our childhood days, when we hear some stories, once upon a time. So here it is something that Narad Muni is narrating of an episode that has happened 2 yugas before, because we are talking of the end of Treta Yuga, when this narration of Narad Muni happened to Yudhishthir, and this episode that is narrating is of Satya Yuga. That's why Ekada. It's very common in Sanskrit to hear this Ekada. So Hiranyakashipu, who is the here it is mentioned as Asura Rat, that means the emperor or the king of the demons. So when you say that emperor and the king of demons, that means he is all in all, and he has virtually conquered everything, the entire universe. So he is definitely, he considers himself as the most powerful man on this entire. He captured all the three lokas, so he considers himself to be the most powerful person. So now his approach towards his son, who is 5-year-old Prahlad Maharaj, is very like an affectionate, loving father, because he says, Ankam Aropya Pandava. Ankam Aropya. It is Putram Ankam Aropya. That means he picks him and makes him seated on his lap. That's very loving, I would say, reciprocation of a father. So normally we see, in parents, when the child is very small and starts going to school, the affection and love is very much visible. So in a similar manner, Hiranyakashipu makes Prahlad Maharaj sit on his lap, and then he asks basically a question. Papracha Katayatam Vatsa. That means what have you learned? And he is basically expecting that Prahlad Maharaj will give him a very favorable answer. When we say favorable answer, it means that, so first of all, he makes him very comfortable. He is not asking a specific question for an answer. Like I remember when I was a small child, I used to be, not comfortable in arithmetic. Of course, later on, when it came to algebra, geometry, I was more comfortable. But it was arithmetic, and my father used to teach me arithmetic. I was very scared because I know that he will pinch my ears. So whenever a specific question on arithmetic is asked, I'm uncomfortable. So here, Hiranyakashipu is not making his son uncomfortable. If you see here, he is giving him a chance to answer anything. Whatever you have learned the best from your teachers, you please share that. That is what he's expecting. And who are his teachers? The two sons of Shukracharya, that is Shanda and Amaraka. But does Prahlad really consider them as teachers? Not at all. He's just going as a formality because that has been instructed by his father. For him, the real teacher is Narad Muni. Okay. So when Hiranyakashipu makes Prahlad seated on his lap and he says, what have you learned, my dear son? Very belovedly, he asks. Like typically, in the present world, when people ask this question and the child replies, I've learned today Baba Black Sheep or Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Oh, the parents are very happy. Oh, very good, wonderful. You have done a good job. Keep learning. So Hiranyakashipu is expecting something, an answer which will be very likable for him. But to his rude shock, Prahlad gave a very profound reply. Again, we are not going into the reply part in this session today, because that is part of the next verse, so that will be covered tomorrow. But Prahlad basically, that reply really shook Hiranyakashipu, and then he knew that there is something cooking up, and why did he reply like that? So he was contemplating. So what we will do is we'll try to understand where does Prahlad come from? What is his thought process? That will be the focus of today's discussion. Okay, so it has been established that Prahlad is a pure devotee and is also a perfect devotee. Srila Prabhupada explains, perfect devotee is the one who sees everything in relation to the source. That means there is a creation and a creator. So you should be able to connect the creation with the creator. So when you see everything in relation to the source, we start using everything in relation to the source as well. Okay, so there is no abuse of any aspect of the creation. So here, basically, we talk about seeing, then connecting with the source, and also using everything for the pleasure of the source. So that's a complete, a sequence which Prahlad has nicely mastered from his spiritual master, Shripad Narad Muni, and that is why he's called as a perfect devotee. So this should be the goal of our, why we want to become a devotee. We want to basically become a perfect devotee. Our goal should be like the way we start from Vedanta Sutra, the first aphorism, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. So now you inquire, okay, and inquire what? Janmadi yasya yataha. That means to understand that the absolute truth is the origin of everything. So this is our Am Sarvasya Prabhavo. So to understand this is the goal of our human life, and this purpose is primarily why we have become the human beings. So Krishna is giving us an opportunity, okay, because we are somewhat rebellious, I would say conditioned souls. So this opportunity is given in the human form to revive this eternal relationship, okay, and this is possible only through proper understanding of the source. So when we understand that we are part of the source, then we want to understand the source, that is establish the Sambandha Gyan, and then from there we want to establish the Abhideya, understand the process, how it is to done through sadhana bhakti, and then we see the Prayojana, what is the outcome. So that is the complete process of our Bhagavad culture, or our the entire Krishna conscious movement. So here we understand that when everything is used in the service of the Lord, okay, because the Lord is Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat Purnam Udachyate, Purnasya Purnam Adaya, Purnam Eva Vashishthe. That means Prabhupada says, when something is Purnam, and from that Purnam comes, so 1 plus 1 is again 1, 1 minus 1 is again 1. So it never gets diminished, it's always Purnam. Whereas we see in the material world, take the case of, let's say, a neurologist. Does a neurologist have complete knowledge of everything? No. He has got the complete knowledge only of the neurological part, that is the brain. Similarly, nephrologist would have a complete knowledge of the kidney. He would not have knowledge about other parts of the body. Okay. Similarly, let's say physiologist may have a lot of knowledge about the body. Okay. But when it comes to a devotee knows how to use his body, how to use his body in back in the service. So therefore, the devotee has supposed to have more knowledge. He may not have the technical knowledge of a neurologist or a nephrologist, or say a molecular biologist who has a knowledge of the cell, but he knows what is this body, what for it is to be used. That is the beauty of a devotee. So that is what Prabhupada says here as Yasmin Vijñate Sarvam Eva Vijñatam Bhavati. That means a person who has the complete knowledge of the super soul, okay, or Paramatma, he is supposed to have known everything, because this is a higher knowledge, this is a Paravidya. So when you have a higher knowledge, you are supposed to have known the lower knowledge also. So many a times, people used to wonder, how come Srila Prabhupada, I mean, he's an Acharya, but how come he has got knowledge in every sphere of life, be it politics, be it economics, art, culture, in any aspect Prabhupada was asked or questioned, he had, very nice knowledge, information. That is because Prabhupada was Yasmin Vijñate Sarvam Eva Vijñate Bhavati. In fact, once one person challenged Prabhupada. He told Prabhupada that you're talking, when Prabhupada was talking about this verse, Yasmin Vijñate, he said, you're claiming that, you know everything. So can you tell me how many windows are there in the Empire State Building? So this was a very stupid question, but he asked him. He said, "You are supposed to know everything because you are Rasmin Vigyate. So tell me how many windows are there in the Empire State Building." So Prabhupada just looked at him and he said, "You first answer me. How many droplets of water are there in a mirage? You go and find out how many droplets are there of water in this mirage." Actually, there is nothing. So basically, the point here is that the moment you dissociate from the source, you're into illusion. That is, you're into Maya, mirage. You're going into mirage. So when we see this kind of disconnection, then our knowledge gets bewildered, and then we get into we can never get properly situated in bhakti. So we then talk about what should be the approach of a perfect student, because we're talking of a perfect understanding. So perfect understanding necessitates that a student be perfect and he learns perfect knowledge from a perfect guru also. So knowledge has to be transmitted from top down, and then the student has to be receptive, because no matter how much the knowledge is transmitted, but the other side, if the receiver is not proper, then this knowledge will not be of any purpose, or it will not serve the full purpose. Many times we find that the same knowledge that is transmitted by a guru to various disciples, some disciples are able to decipher that knowledge much better than some other disciples, and as a result they progress faster in bhakti. The only reason for that is not that guru has given more knowledge to them and less knowledge to the others. It is only because those disciples who have progressed faster or better have received that knowledge better. I mean, they have been full paying attention, and they have actually followed that complete process very well. So here when we talk of Prahlad Maharaj's pure devotional service, or Prahlad Maharaj's pure, perfection of his human life, it is pertinent to talk about his spiritual master, that is Narad Muni, because whenever a disciple is glorified, the glorification actually is meant for his spiritual master. So let us understand a little bit about Narad Muni, how he got this knowledge, and what was his approach or receptiveness towards this knowledge. So Narad Muni, as we know in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, mentions that in the previous life he was the son of a maid servant. Now in that life, it looked like he was a Shudra, okay, because born out of a son of a maid servant, but he was very fortunate to get the association of Bhaktivedantas. So there were Bhaktivedantas who visited them, and for 4 months he was fortunate to hear Shravanam completely from these Bhaktivedantas. And then his mother used to wash the plates. Narad Muni got the benefit of honoring the remnants of the prasadam left by the Bhaktivedantas. So it is said that the remnants of the Bhaktivedantas, or the spiritual master, or the supreme personality of Godhead, are basically nectar coming from the lips of that person. So we must respectfully honor that, in hope that the mercy flows from that remnants, and mercy does flow, as it is clearly observed and proven by Narad Muni. So Narad Muni used to be very humble in that, as a young boy, and he used to very closely follow what they were talking, what this Bhaktivedantas were discussing, on what subject matter, and he was trying to assimilate that knowledge little by little. And the Bhaktivedantas were observing him carefully. See, we should remember, before this life, we should go one life before this of Narad Muni. Narad Muni was a very opulent, like a Gandharva in this previous life, very, very good looking and very opulent, and he was called as Upabarana. So when he was Upabarana, he went to one satsang where the sages were singing the glories of Lord Vishnu. So somehow Upavarana was not very comfortable at that time, and instead he started glorifying about himself in the in the company of all the good-looking ladies, and at that point of time. So these sages, they felt offended that when they are glorifying Lord Vishnu, this Upavarana is glorifying himself, and he's putting him on the same level of Vishnu. So as a result, it was a curse. They cursed him that you will lose all your opulence, and you seem to be very puffed up now, and you lose everything, and you'll be born in the Shudra family. So because of that curse, Upavarana became the son of a maid servant, who in the next life became Narad Muni. So the point here is that when he was the son of a maid servant, even though being a Shudra, he perfected the life in one lifetime. That is the key here. He did not, he understood, realized, and he did not want to waste another lifetime. Very similar to our Jada Bharat. He understood what he had done mistake in the previous life. So similar thing that Narad Muni realized here. And as a result, these Bhaktivedantas, when they were leaving from after 4 months of stay with him, they gave him unconditional mercy. They actually blessed him. Chakruhu kripam yadyapi tulya darshanaha. So this chakruhu means they basically bestowed costless mercy upon him. They gave kripam, full kripa they gave, yadyapi tulya darshanaha. So that whatever he acquired from that, the entire knowledge came from whatever he participated there, and fully he received it. And then in the next life as Narad Muni, he was a perfect human being, was a perfect soul. So of course Narad Muni was received a lot of knowledge from Brahmaji, his spiritual master, who in turn received it directly from the Lordship. So the point here is we have to learn a couple of good lessons from Narad Muni's episode. Lesson one is that he was put in an unfortunate situation, and how he converted that unfortunate situation into a favorable or a fortunate situation. So many times it happens in our life that we are put in uncomfortable or unfortunate situation. At that time, most of us, give it up, and we are not able to fathom what's going on, and sometimes we fall down further. So here Narad Muni, through his example, has shown us that how we should take it as the mercy of the Lord, okay, and then use it for further favoring the situation. So he converted this unfortunate situation into fortunate situation. And the second lesson that we can learn from here is how to be receptive. Okay, we have to be receptive to learned people. There is no two thoughts about that. We cannot approach any learned person in a abnormal or in a way that does not please them. Our task is to please the learned people. So whether they are sages or they are elevated souls, the spiritual masters, we have to really be very, very submissive and receptive. And this only when that happens, then the knowledge is transmitted. Like we know that from Bhagavad Gita, Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya, then only upadekshanti dhyananam jnaninas tattvadarshana. So then only the knowledge is automatically transferred. So our endeavor is not to gain knowledge. Our endeavor is to serve the devotees. Then they transmit the knowledge. That is the right approach. So here, Srila Prabhupada actually explains the qualifications that are required. It's very important for us to assimilate these qualifications, because otherwise we will be always Godas. We will be serving our own senses. So from Godas, we have to become the servants of Goswamis. So Goswamis are the people who can control the senses. Goswami. So if you serve them, then we can get the benefit. So from Godas, we become the servants of Goswamis. So the first qualification is self-control. Self-control of the senses. So here repeatedly we hear this from Prabhupada, that Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyati. That means Rishik, using our senses, okay, we try to serve Rishikesha, that is Lord himself. And then if that happens, then what happens is the senses are dovetailed. So we don't have to put any extra effort. We don't have to, park our senses somewhere and then try to focus about bhakti. No, our existing senses, we serve the spiritual master, and through him we serve the Lord. Rishikena Sevanam. So this way what happens is we are able to achieve the benefit of bhakti. Why we serve the spiritual master? Because the spiritual master is the one who is dhira. In Upadesh Amrit, our Srila Rupa Goswami gives a definition who is qualified to be spiritual master all over the world. Okay, Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha Vegam, Jivha Vegam, Udarupashta Vegam, Etan Vegan, Yo Upavishta Dhira, Shishyam Teham, what is that? Shishyam Teham Shadimam Paparnam. No, I'm mixing up another verse, but yeah, sorry. So basically, you have to control the urges of the senses. That is the essence here. So the spiritual master is the one who is dhira, and he is able to completely control the senses. And by serving the spiritual master, we are able to get those qualities. And as a result, our senses get dovetailed to his senses. So that is the first qualification, that is the art of self-control of the senses. The second thing, qualification Srila Prabhupada highlights is you have to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined. So discipline means you should be able to control your mind. You should not be frivolous. That means you should not allow the thoughts to run here and there. Your mind, your thoughts, your words, everything should be completely disciplined. So this can happen when our center of service is Krishna. Center of service is Guru. So in English there is a famous phrase: familiarity breeds contempt. So familiarity breeds contempt is possible only when the sense gratification, or the sense gratification becomes the center of our object. But if you replace that with love, we replace that with service. If you replace that with the possibility to serve the spiritual master, then it becomes like familiarity breeds love, familiarity breeds service, familiarity breeds intimacy, familiarity breeds service. So this is how actually it gets completely transformed. So it's very, very important to show the discipline in our spiritual practice. And this also calls for a good etiquette, that is a good achar, as we say, a good behavior. In fact, our Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, apart from giving to the Goswamis, apart from giving the task of discovering or excavating the Vrindavan for the benefit of all, to write books, to unearth all the places of worship, and to write books, and then to show the deity worships, excavate all the deities, etc. He also gave them a task, how to show exemplary Vaishnava etiquette. So the Vaishnava etiquette is very, very important, because our discipline comes from our behavior also. So if somebody is behaving, is well-disciplined person, it also reflects on his behavior. So that is very, very important. The third qualification that Srila Prabhupada highlights is that one should be 100%, 10% respectful. Okay, not only to the devotees but to everybody, all living species, in fact matter and non-matter also, everything. So spiritual and matter, every respect. Why? Because Krishna says that in Brahma Samhita, Krishna says that he is present in full in all the atoms of the universe. What is that verse? Andantarastha paramanu chayanatrasam. That means he is actually present in full in each and every atom of the universe. So when you look at that way, you will not abuse even a table, because the table is supposed to serve a particular purpose. So everything is in relation to the Lord. So accordingly, the service, we'll engage that in the service for the Lord. So that is the third thing. The fourth thing is obedience. It is very, very important in spiritual practice to show the obedience to the higher authorities. So a disciple must be 100%, 10% obedient to his spiritual master, to the superiors to whom he is under whom he is getting counseled, because this is how actually the like when Prahlad Maharaj was in the womb of Mother Kayadu, at that time he got this complete information of knowledge from Narad Muni, and then the direct service to Narad Muni or Narad Muni's service to Lord Brahma, this all completely surrender, fully they are obeying. So that practice needs to be followed. Even our own spiritual master, if you see, they follow the instructions of their spiritual master completely. When Prabhupada heard from his spiritual master that go to the West and give this message of Mahaprabhu, there were a lot of God brothers who heard that, but Srila Prabhupada took that as the message, as the life and death for him, and then he went to the West and he preached, and the rest is history. So that is the kind of obedience one should show. Similarly, when Srila Prabhupada gave the toughest task of scientific preaching to Srila Sripad Maharaj, Srila Sripad Maharaj took that as message, as a life and death, and then the rest is history. Bhaktivedanta Institute was set up, and then through Bhaktivedanta Institute, the entire world gets a message of scientific preaching. So whenever it has been proven that whenever and wherever the disciple has completely obeyed the spiritual master or the higher authority, then automatically the mercy flows, and then success is bound to happen. So if this is not followed, then what happens is we become we surrender to our own senses, and then it is we become our senses become serving in all directions. That means Bhoga and Aishwarya, Bhogeshwara Prasaktanam. That means we become so much attached to the material things that our mind becomes bewildered, it's completely bewildered, and as a result, our Vaivasatmika Buddhi, that is resolute determination, will not be sitting into our hearts. We just cannot focus, and then we will completely be in this bewildered condition. We cannot serve or we cannot follow bhakti. So this is what the message we get from here. Here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada also explains that if we follow this process properly, then he quotes, Tesham evanu kampartam aham ajnana jamtana nashayami atma bhavasto jnana deepena bhasvata. That means sometimes it is people wonder, how come this devotees, Hare Krishna devotees are so knowledgeable in every sphere of life. So here in this verse of Bhagavad Gita 10.11, Krishna explains to Arjuna that I show special mercy, I dwelling in their hearts, destroy the darkness of ignorance. How? By the shining lamp of knowledge. So Krishna gives that knowledge. Tesham satati yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenemam upayanti te. So this knowledge comes automatically. So only thing is our process should be proper. If that happens, sincerity is there, then this automatically flows. In fact, when Mahaprabhu was traveling in Banaras and propagating this holy name everywhere, and he had thousands of people following him at that time in Banaras. So at that time, this very erudite scholar, philosopher by the name Prakashananda Saraswati. So he was actually, challenging Mahaprabhu. He said that your approach seemed to be more of a sentimentalist, and your devotees are also looking to be very sentimentalist. But actually, if you follow the philosophy properly, you will get better knowledge. So here it is clear that even if one may not have the complete deep knowledge of philosophy, one may not have a deep knowledge of science, one may not have a deep knowledge of any aspect, but if he follows the process of bhakti properly, then he is automatically bestowed with the complete knowledge. what is requisite for him to know about everything. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. So automatically Krishna transmits the knowledge of understanding him through the process of bhakti. So otherwise one can go on speculating for thousands and millions and billions of years, and he will not find any juice. He will not get any juice. He will not be able to understand Krishna at all. So that way he will be completely more and more bewildered, and then he may fall into the association of maybe demonic nature person, and then his whole efforts will be completely spoiled. So in this way, there is a good message given to us in this verse, and Prabhupada explains well. And we need to understand that Narad Muni, I will just mention here. See, Narad Muni,
Prabhuji, time.
I thought we have got relaxation now. Last 2-3.
No relaxation. 8:10 should complete.
Because last 3-4 weeks, I heard people saying that yes, now the moderator has completely relaxed and we can talk as much as we want.
No relaxation.
Anyway.
8:10.
Okay, then I'll conclude here. I was about to just say that this entire 18,000 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is available to us courtesy Narad Muni and Vyasadev, whole thing was actually encapsulated in just Chatur Shloki by Brahmaji, by Krishna to Brahmaji, and this was the 4 sloka that important, which is called as the seed giving verses, because these 4 verses of Canto 2 to I think chapter 9, 33, 34, 35, 36. So these 4 talks completely about these 3 tattvas of Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojana. So I will not go into that. One can read that. But these the Acharyas have commented that these 4 verses are so perfect that if one understands this, then he has understood everything. And because it is difficult to understand, it has been further expanded into 18,000 verse. And now our challenge is to assimilate those 18,000 verse and understand those 18,000 verse properly, so that we are able to understand these 3 tattvas of Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojana correctly, because our whole objective is to get the Prayojana. We cannot be stuck at Sambandha stage, we cannot be stuck at the Abhideya stage. We have to go to the Prayojana stage, and only when we reach there, that is when the Prema Bhakti, or the ultimate goal for which we are all aspiring, will be available for us, and then only we come out of this cycle of birth, death, old age and disease. So since I have an order from His Holiness Maharaj to monitor the time, so I'll conclude here, and if there is any further additions to be made by anyone, or if there are any comments or questions, please come forward. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Sorry for interrupting you, but relaxation for question answers. Class, we should try to finish 8:10, because you see, online is difficult to focus on time. In physical also, after half an hour,
Agreed, Maharaj. Agreed. Fully agreed.
The quality goes down exponentially. So we should try to finish 8:10, maximum 8:15. And question answers, generally you can leave. People can also leave if they don't want. And generally question answers are more interesting because interaction is there. So please forgive me for interrupting.
No, not at all, Maharaj. It's your order. It's my job to follow.
Not order. So please ask questions to our Prabhuji. Anyone would like to ask, please raise your hand. Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Because I think devotees may take some time. Meanwhile,
okay.
I would like to thank you, and bring nice points you made about familiarity breeds contempt. Yeah, if the spirit is not devotion, then familiarity breeds contempt. The spirit is material, like you help me, I help you, right? The spirit of, but the spirit is to sacrifice for Guru and Krishna. I think familiarity will come under the revealing in confidence and association. Familiarity comes to association, and the spirit is devotion. So that point is very nice. And another is following spiritual master. So this is question for all of us. Have I followed my spiritual master 100%? So if we introspect, I think it will bring us a lot of humility. Because without following 100%, if not 100%, at least 80%, 90%, we can see percentage wise. At least we can improve also. We can upgrade even now. So whether I followed what my Guru Maharaj wanted me, and also look out. Is there anybody other than me who followed Guru Maharaj 100%? I have not followed. Right? Humility will come that yes, I have not followed 100%. Humble means mostly. But is there anybody who has followed Guru Maharaj? Because Ramachandra Sangam Age Narottama Das. So this association, see, one who has 100% listen to Guru Maharaj, that will bring us closer to Guru Maharaj, because with such person, Guru Maharaj is there 100%. So to take association of such person would be very helpful to develop our love for Guru Maharaj. One who has, and I am sure at least there is one person at least, and I am damn sure about it. And Guru has even revealed himself also. But I don't want to take names. But I would like to say there is at least one person. Theoretically, there would be more. There is at least one person. Otherwise, how parampara will continue and how Guru Maharaj will be a pure devotee. Like Prabhupada, there are no pure devotees in its call. After Prabhupada, no pure devotees. It is not like that. There are pure devotees. Similarly, in Guru Maharaj's lineage, there is somebody, at least one person other than me. There is at least one person. Who is that person? I can get association. So, in the physical absence of Guru Maharaj, association of such persons, that can bring us a lot of closeness to Guru Maharaj. In general, any God brother, disciple of Guru Maharaj will give us memory of Guru Maharaj, but still this, because of the familiarity, and which is not in the devotional spirit, we find suffocating. So it's good to find somebody who is 100% following Guru Maharaj and associate in a devotional spirit. That will bring us close to Guru Maharaj very much. Thank you very much. Now I would like to see if anybody is there, want to ask questions.
Or if anybody wants to add, some points.
Can also add, yes.
Yeah. Very nice points you have added, Maharaj, now. I mean, very nice. Especially that point on familiarity with association, that when we all feel so connected only to Maharaj through association, there's no other, there's a common purpose, that is to serve the spiritual master. And that brings in association. Association brings in mutual respect. love and the intimacy. That's very, very important. I mean, in material world, familiarity is always breeds contempt. We have seen that time and again. Whereas in spiritual world, it's the other way around. Actually, familiarity brings in a lot of mutual respect, love, and intimacy, service, etc. Beautiful.
Okay, our Srikant Prabhuji finally came forward. Hare Krishna.
Dhanavad Pranam, Maharaji, and Dhanavad Pranam, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji have worn a very nice kurta.
Is that the question or a comment?
It's an addition.
Addition. You want to know
Another
from
addition.
where I bought this? This is from Bangladesh.
Oh, Bangladesh. Wow,
Yeah.
that's
So
wonderful.
it's got a little bit of the Bengali work on that. Yes, Prabhuji, your
Yes,
question
yes.
now or your comment, please.
Yeah, just one more addition, and then I will ask a question. Addition is that Bhagwan Narsingha, he did not appear 2 yugas before. He appeared in Chakshusha Manu. This one is Vaivasvat Manu. So therefore, Narsingh Bhagwan appears only once in a day of Brahmasi. So he is called Kalpa Avatar.
Okay. Okay.
The second question is, it may be a funny question. This Prabhuji, you gave a very wonderful example when that stupid question was asked to Srila Prabhupada. How many windows are there in
Empire State Building.
Empire State Building? And Srila Prabhupada replied using a logic. I'm not remembering the name of that logic. So he replied that first you answer me and then I will answer this. But if there is an answer to this question, which one would like to answer tactfully, I understand that such questions are asked in IAS, these IAS aspirants, right, in their interviews. The reason behind asking this question by me is that we want to understand, we want to know that how to tactfully, face such questions or answer such questions. It definitely is a funny question, but I think it is not. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I mean, there are several instances when Prabhupada has replied only because he's an acharya and only he can reply like that. And we cannot imitate Prabhupada, definitely not. We should, so for us, our role model is our guru. We have to practice and preach what we learn from our guru. When he has, like in this purport, Prabhupada acknowledges that it is very tough for a common man to challenge a scientist or a philosopher. Okay, so which clearly shows that our guru was not a common man. He was an exceptional personality, and that's why he was able to carry forward the torch which Srila Prabhupada handed over to him in the best possible way. And there cannot be a better way that other than the way he has demonstrated. So in all aspects, we can follow the footsteps and try to imbue those qualities which have been demonstrated by Srila Sripad. So in such situation, what would Sripad would have replied? We have seen that Srila Sripad never gives any he never antagonizes anybody. We know that, but his approach is always to take people along with him to come to a commonality point, and then express. We have to express, and then he expresses in his own way, and then he gets that person's buy-in. It's very important to get the other person's buy-in. So we have to develop that kind of technique in preaching. If at all we are encountering such situations, I mean, this example was not given out of the context. It was given because only Prabhupada can do that, because we know what is his how he is doing. But in our level, when we do it, we should follow the examples or the guidance given by our guru, if that can help, Prabhuji.
Yeah, it's good. Actually, the thing is, I remember once again, Srila Prabhupada was asked some question like this by his disciple, and Srila Prabhupada replied that devotee does not mean that he knows everything. Devotee means he knows whatever Krishna wants him to know. That is one part. And second, he added that Krishna also does not know completion. how vast his energies are, and what is the extent and spread of his energies. So this number of windows in an Empire State Building is for a jiva like us. So it may be limitation, but if Krishna wants his devotee to know, they will know as much.
Sure,
Hare
sure,
Krishna.
sure. In fact, I'm remembering one more example in this regard to a question. I mean, to something that Srila Prabhupada did not know, but he gave an answer which had everything in it. Okay. Once Prabhupada was in his morning walk in Hawaii Islands, and Hawaii is a beautiful place with nice beaches and all. So when he was going along with his disciples, suddenly he noticed at a distance in the sea one man attached to a boat, and it seemed Prabhupada did not know what he was doing. So Prabhupada from a distance asked, what is that person doing? He's trying to walk or run on the water. So then the disciples told him, no, Prabhupada, he's surfing. So Prabhupada asked, what? He's surfing. Oh, okay. And then that same morning, after Prabhupada came back for his morning Srimad Bhagavatam class, Prabhupada remembered that example, and he said this way, that today we saw a man in the ocean who was suffering. So, so the disciples who were sitting nearby, they whispered, not suffering, Prabhupada, it is surfing. So what Prabhupada replied, I mean, this is the real knowledge that Krishna imparts immediately. He said, it is surfing for you, it is surfing for the materialistic people, and it is suffering. It is suffering for me. So that means he said that this man who is surfing and is spending 3 to 4 hours in the sea, he doesn't know what he's going to prepare in his next life. He's preparing a body to become aquatics in the next life. So immediately his entire analogy was, turned around. And so actually, if you see this, Prabhupada used the right word. It may apparently seem that he used suffering. But actually, he meant suffering only for surfing. But in the apparent world, it looked like Prabhupada made a wrong word. So this is the beauty of acharyas. That is the exact thing what I'm thinking when the situation comes. Krishna gives the knowledge to a sincere soul on everything. He doesn't have to separate. He may not know. For example, why should he know about how a brain operation is to be done or a heart operation is to be done or something intricate? No. But he goes beyond that, where it is to be used. That is the crux of the matter.
Yes, Prabhuji,
and how
beautiful.
it is to be used. And how it is to be used.
Yes. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
Any other questions or additions? Let us see who are there. Dandavat Pranam Maharaj ji.
We would like to have blessings from Maharaj.
His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Govind Maharaj. Very humble and Maharaj. Okay, let us see more. Madan Manohar Prabhuji. Okay. Srikant Prabhuji, you want to ask again?
Yeah, I can take my question later if there is any question from others.
There is nothing you can.
Yeah, I want to request Prabhuji and also Your Holiness also. Once one student, he was taking a class. In the class, he said that there are many questions which even spirituality cannot answer. For instance, spirituality cannot answer this electron and magnetic forces and how the brain works and all these things, details. So, and these are the questions which can only be answered by science. So, and we also hear that many times that Bhagavatam is an answer to everything. So how do we reconcile this apparent lack of confidence in scriptures or spirituality, or it may not be a lack of confidence. I actually don't know whether it is truth or whether it is wrong. Please clarify, Prabhuji. Maharaji, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I will try, Prabhu. It's a very deep question, and I'm sure our His Holiness also can add better than me. But see, we all agree on one thing, that is, science, material science is primarily the fundamental principle is seeing is believing. Everything has to be quantifiable, verifiable. So my question is actually, are we able to see the electron? We have all studied electron. How can anybody show the electron? But yet we say that there is electron, there is proton, there is neutron, and so on. I mean, these are all given to us. But where is it? Can somebody physically see it? On one hand, when it comes to spirituality, the same analogy is given that this is all in air, because it cannot be quantified. So here the postulation is done first, and then subsequently we it seems that we are developing experiments with using certain formulae, and then we prove that the postulation is correct. But when it comes to spirituality, somehow we don't seem to we can apply the same yardstick in spirituality and see the result, but at that time the same scientific minds do not accept it. That's a sad part. So yesterday our His Holiness Vrajapati Swami Maharaj beautifully explained towards the conclusion on how science should view spirituality and how spirituality should view science. I think if that approach very nicely explained, so many points he put forward, and maybe for the benefit of those who missed yesterday, we will request him once again to highlight maybe in a nutshell of what he said yesterday. But the essence is that both have to be accommodative. You cannot be dismissive of anything. So the fundamental principle is that if you dismiss it, that means you are dismissing on certain premise which you think is right. But then certain things, if you are using that as the logic, then you cannot answer certain things in material science also. But there you do not question these things. I mean, this is the way I look at it. I don't think I can add something more than that, Prabhuji. I will request somebody else to answer this.
May I add a little bit, Prabhuji?
Yes, Maharaj, please.
Then we will also hear from our Mother Manohar Prabhuji.
Okay.
So, very good question. I think I have heard this also some time ago, or maybe not remembering, but it's a very good question. Whether there are questions even spirituality cannot answer. So first of all, you have to be clear, what does he mean by spirituality? Does he mean even God cannot answer? Because spirituality is God. God is spiritual. So there is no question that God cannot answer. If you see Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has answered each and every question that Arjuna has asked. And finally, Arjuna is exhausted.
Very true.
And Krishna said, Arjuna, what use is there of knowing so many details? With a single fraction of mind, I create and sustain this entire universe. That is God. So, I am available before you. Why are you interested in my Amsha? I am available fully to you. Why are you interested in so many details? What is the use of so many details? That Srila Prabhupada translates this in a similar way. That what is the use of so many details? With single fraction of mind, I sustain entire universe. So there is no limit to questions and answers, but there is a limit to us. we are limited. Our lifespan is limited. So therefore, we have to be clear what is the meaning of knowing. Even Jayant Narlikar, the famous cosmologist, he once remarked that for Arjuna, Krishna is there to answer everything. But we don't have Krishna to get all answers for our questions. Jayant Narlikar, he worked with Stephen Hawking, I think, or Penrose. So he could see the limitations of science. Science also cannot answer all the questions that has been mathematically established. So that his claim that science only can answer all the questions, it is established by science itself, mathematics, that science also cannot answer all the questions. So that is number one. Number two, we should understand what is the meaning of knowing. Yes, yasmin vignate sarvam vignatam bhavati. You will know everything in essence. You should know all essential things. For example, in Gita, Krishna says, one who knows the purpose of Vedas, he gets the benefit of knowing all the Vedas. So if one knows the purpose of Vedas, he knows all the Vedas. It doesn't mean that he knows each and every sloka, or it doesn't even mean that he knows each and every Veda, every chapter. Not required. Essence of Vedas is that Vedasya Sarvair. From all the Vedas, I should be known. So, if one knows the purpose of something, he is considered to have known everything. So, one who knows Krishna, he knows the purpose of this universe, he knows the purpose of his life. Therefore, he knows everything. He doesn't need to know everything. But on the other hand, if one knows details in the Vedas but doesn't know the purpose of the Vedas, even though he may know each and every sloka of the Veda, he is considered as not knowing the Vedas. So, even a scientist or any expert in a certain field, he knows more details, but if he doesn't know the purpose of his field, or doesn't know the purpose of his own life, doesn't know the purpose of this universe, that is regarded as not knowing only, because he can answer so many technical questions, but he doesn't know what is the purpose of his own life. So, in that sense, Bhagavatam has all essential answers, not all detailed answers. All essential answers. There is no discussion about fundamental particles in the what we know as electrons. That is not the purpose of Bhagavatam, to give detailed knowledge, because this universe is infinite. No book will be able to contain all the statements about this universe. Similarly, no scientific text also can have all the statements about the universe, which is infinite. We cannot, even science cannot give all the answers. Like Gödel's theorem, we have given any mathematical system, there are always sentences which you cannot prove. So therefore, both side humility is required. Science cannot answer all the questions. Spiritual texts cannot also answer all the questions. And spiritual practitioners cannot also answer all the questions. But God can answer all the questions. But do you have the access to God? No, we don't have. So he is right in the sense that even spirituality, if he means spiritual texts, yes, spiritual texts cannot answer all the questions, all funny questions, right? All technical questions. But spiritual texts can answer all the essential questions for life, for this universe, purpose, and all these things. So technical details, we don't have all the technical details, and we should be humble there. Also, sometimes we claim this is in the Bhagavatam. The sentence that is not there in the Bhagavatam, we should not say that it is in the Bhagavatam also. We should say, this is my understanding of the Bhagavatam statement. So it is true that spirituality cannot answer all the questions, all the technical questions, but it can answer all the essential questions for life, and that is more important. You answer so many questions about electrons, protons, but you cannot answer questions about life, then how good is that knowledge? So therefore, we have to go to Shripad Maharaj approach, top down and bottom approach. Synthesis. Then only we can have maximum answers, both technical as well as to the life. Otherwise, science will be incomplete, but religion is complete because it fulfills the purpose of human life. Hare Krishna.
I just remembered one more example in this connection. Once when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling to South India, and there was a Brahmin who was holding Bhagavad Gita upside down, and he was crying in tears. So he was an illiterate Brahmin. He does not know what is the contents in that, but he was crying. So when Mahaprabhu asked him, why are you holding it upside down? So he did not know. See, then he made it proper. Then Mahaprabhu asked him, so if you don't know this, then why are you crying? He said, I'm just crying looking at this picture that Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has become a chariot driver for Arjuna. So immediately Mahaprabhu said, you have understood everything about Bhagavad Gita. So, I mean, this I was able to remember when Maharaj said that the essence has to be understood. That is what actually the message is, being conveyed here. So that can be understood without knowing in details also. Hare Krishna.
Okay, now let us hear from our Madan Manohar Prabhuji. Do we need to unmute him? Just a minute. Then we will hear from our Balram Prabhu. Haribol Madan Manohar Prabhuji. Can you unmute? Please unmute Prabhuji. Otherwise, Balram Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Balram Prabhu.
Yeah, very nice comment given by our Maharaj. So, I mean, I just want to, repeat some of the things, but in a different word. So, basically, when we say, let's say some questions spirituality cannot answer, that means this is our limitation in understanding the answer. Because let's say we have everything in the even in the scriptures, but if we don't have the proper tool to understand the answer, then we say, this is not understood. So as Maharaj said, this is the limitation of the person who is understanding the answer or who is giving the answer. So it's not the spirituality or the scriptures. Scriptures, everything is there, but it depends on us. How do we understand that? And how far we understood the scriptures. And according to, if we consider Srikant Prabhu's question, a very nice question, we say that science cannot answer or spirituality cannot answer. This is because we are at a certain level. So if we are on the top level, then we can understand, let's say, both are the same. When we consider the electrons, or as you say, electrons nobody has seen, that's correct. But spirituality cannot answer, or science also cannot answer about the electrons. We don't see the electrons there. And let's say, but I mean, in spirituality, we have the minute particle or whatever we say. Everywhere God is present, and He is giving us, giving the chetana for.
Hare Krishna. Hari Bol.
Yes,
Yes, Maharaj.
Maharaj.
Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam, Maharaj.
Pranam.
We were waiting for your blessings for a long time.
Well, I was occupied with someone, so I couldn't give justice to your wonderful discussions and explanations. So how can I serve you?
We want your blessings, Maharaj, by giving some wisdom of comments or in whatever way.
Well, I'm not connected major part of because I was occupied with someone at this time. But lot of enthusiasm and lot of discussion I overheard our Prajpati Swamiji and Maharaj and others. So I could not put my focus because I was attending something else.
Maharaj, our Balram Prabhuji is in the middle. That is here. Then we will put that question. Then Your Holiness can answer.
Okay.
No, Maharaji, we need your blessings. That's, yeah, I was just, I mean, thinking it is not the proper question to say that either science or spirituality cannot answer. We should ask the question and ask whether we can understand the answer or not. Thank you, Maharaj, and thank you, Oasis.
Hello, Madhav Prabhuji. Unmute Prabhuji. Neil Madhav Prabhu, unmute.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Actually, unfortunately, the question, the person is me only. So,
this is like super.
so actually, the context was like when it came in book discussion, so I want to bring the context. And then I will want to add also like little bit. So context was someone asking about if a person is died, if he lost consciousness, what does spirituality? Can spirituality do anything for him? Is there any practice in spirituality such that the lost consciousness person can be brought to consciousness?
Yes,
That time
Prabhuji. We can give him 10 rupees and send him to a doctor.
Yeah, in that, like, see, he means he is dead. So what can you do anything to bring him to alive? So that was the context.
Oh, to bring him back from dead person.
Yeah. So in that I was telling like there is no practice. It's like living entity. Spirituality cannot do anything. It can just give you way to perfect your life or meaning your life, but cannot give it. So actually here I want to tell, not tell, but one observed point is both scientists also take proud like science can answer everything, and even our in devotees also sometimes they tell spirituality can also answer everything. So actually we can't, yeah, actually according to our level we cannot answer, right? Krishna can answer, but we cannot answer, right? That was I wanted.
Yeah. Yes. So
But
actually,
we take proud in telling spirituality can also answer, science also can answer. Everyone takes proud in their own domain. So, like, what should be the process? Because that's not correct, right? Either both of the people are not correct in that way. they tell everything we can answer. God can answer, but at individual level, you cannot answer this like that. Hare Krishna. Is it
Hare
wrong,
Krishna.
Maharaj?
No, very good, very good. Actually, the sign of knowledge is humility, that I do not know. So that is here from Madan Manohar Prabhuji. We are keeping him pending for a long time. Madan Manohar Prabhuji, are you able to hear us? We are not hearing
Yeah,
anything.
Maharaj. Oh, Maharaj,
Yes,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. No,
Hare.
somebody unmuted me, so I was just, I
That
don't
is
know, I was
that is
just
my
thinking.
humble self.
Okay. Yeah, but I just wanted to throw my 2 cents. Actually, see, the thing is, like somebody was asking this atheistic person, I think it was George Bernard Russell or something. Okay. So if you actually see God, right? Like they're trying to find God, but they're not able to see him in whatever scientific experiments they do. So suppose God were to appear and say before that person that I'm here, then why didn't you find me or something like that? Then that George Bernard would reply, he was saying that I didn't get enough evidence, God. I didn't get enough evidence. So this was his point. But the thing is that these people, they are not searching for God. Rather, they are searching for everything other than God. Like when the scientists, they want to see the electron, they want to find the electron, they are searching for it. They go ahead and somehow or other, even though they cannot see with their, blunt eyes or their instruments, still they accept, the mere
Yeah.
presence of that electron, they will accept.
Exactly.
But in the case of God, they don't want to search for him. They don't want God there in the scene. That is a problem.
Yes, that's right.
If they are searching for God, there are thousands of evidences that the Lord is there. There is no question of that. You can feel that right inside your heart. You can feel that these things are there. When I'm sleeping, there is somebody waking me up. That I'm not the one who's hearing the sound, but somebody else is hearing and waking me up. There is danger. So many ways you can understand the presence of the Lord. But the problem is they're not searching for the Lord, nor do they want to look for the Lord, because as soon as you say God is there and things are there, then it becomes problematic. That is the thing. The funding is stopped. So many things happen. I don't know how to put that, but yeah, this is the point. The basic point is this.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Nice point. Like, I don't believe that Prime Minister is Narendra Modi. I don't
Yeah.
have enough evidence.
You throw all the evidence.
I don't believe your TV and newspaper. This is all.
Yeah, you throw all the evidence at their face, still they don't want to. That is a problem with them.
Okay, let us hear from our Maharajji. The question is that spirituality also cannot answer everything. There is a Neelamada Prabhu one time asked our Shrikant Prabhuji, even spirituality cannot answer all the questions. For example, there are some technical scientific things. For example, gravitation or value of pi. We don't find value of pi in the Bhagavatam. So, or there is some science problem. So, he meant to say only science can answer all the questions. So, that was the beginning of. There are some questions even spirituality cannot answer. Only science can answer. So, Maharaji, if you are kind enough to add to this, we will be glad.
Yeah, and the basis of this question was the purport in Prabhupada, where he mentions Yasmin Vignate Sarvam Evam Vignata Bhavati. That means the one who knows God is understood to have known everything, whatever is there. So from there, this discussion has evolved. Just to, in case if Maharaj has missed the point. Yeah.
Very good perspective. Yeah, Maharaji, please unmute.
Yes, that part I heard. That purport and you're emphasizing. Yeah, that part I heard. Yeah, so when this aphorism that Yasmin Vigyate Sarvam Evam Vigyatam Bhavati, it describes that because Krishna is all encompassing, correct? Oh, if he is understood, is known. So how one knows Krishna? That is the question always asked. What is knowing Krishna? Knowing Krishna means becoming conscious of him. Krishna says in 7.1 Bhagavad Gita, Maya Sakta Manaha Partha Yogam Yunjan Madashraya Asanshayam Samagram Mam Yatha Gyashyasi Tatshru. Very, very interesting. In our once Abhijit Prabhu asked me this question, that if the living entity is limited, it has limited capacity, tiny, how can it assimilate? How can he know the unlimited? But Krishna is making him known. How? So when one becomes attached to Krishna, as asakta, then Krishna also becomes fully. Krishna fully reveals himself to that person. It's just like Krishna is fully captured by the Brajavasis, correct? Those who are trying to get to Krishna or trying to impress him, but Krishna is so moved and so captured by the love of Brajavasis. So one who loves Krishna, Krishna fully becomes accessible to him. And when Krishna becomes fully accessible to him, there is nothing else, nothing remains unknown to him. So that is the point. So Yasmin Vigyate. So knowing Krishna is means becoming conscious of him. And so when you become conscious of Krishna, then Krishna is all capable, and one becomes instrument. Krishna loves to make that person the instrument, and nothing remains unknown to him. So that's why whenever the person or any scientist, anybody asks the question, why people ask the question? Because they don't know, correct? But one who knows Krishna, there is nothing unknown. You understand? Because the consciousness is totally settled. One who is attached to Krishna, he is totally unperturbed, like Prahlad Maharaj, totally unworried about many things to happen or not happen. So a spiritualist, a true spiritualist, he is by realization, he has the answers to all the problems or questions or unfulfilledness of the conditioned souls. You know, its real solution is by becoming fully attached to Krishna. That's why Yasmin Vigyate Sarvam Evam Vigyatam Bhavati. Nothing else is needed actually. That's the point. As long as we need to know this thing and that thing, we need to get this thing and that thing, then still we are feeling unfulfilled. But one who becomes fully Krishna conscious, there is no abhav, there is no hankering of anything else. And that's why a true spiritualist, by his own realization, can bless the person, anyone who has a lot of questions, including science and everything. Because science ultimately what it is searching after, losing and forgetting its own highest self-interest. You know, just what is the use of asking so many questions, and what is its intrinsic value? So the spiritualist, because he's fulfilled in his awareness, in his consciousness, that's why only he has the answer to all the questions. Material science or any science, any angle, without being rooted in Krishna's remembrance, loving remembrance, they will always fall short to reply to any questions people have. So students like Nil Madhav and sadhakas, when they ask question, why this question remains unanswered? You know, when Krishna is the answer to everything. That's what the Vedanta Epoism says. Yasmin Vigyate Sarvam Evam Vigyatam Bhavati. Krishna is the answer. Krishna is the limit of everything. You know, And when one connects to Krishna and one has realized that everything is connected to Krishna, what else is there which is unknown and unanswered? That's it. Hare
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much,
Maharaj
Maharaj.
answer reminds Einstein's quote. I am not interested in this equation or that equation, this phenomena or that phenomenon. I want to know his thoughts. Rest are details.
Beautiful. Yeah. Krishna is the beginning for a person, spiritualist, true spiritualist. So Krishna is the beginning, middle, and also the end. So what is unanswered? For those who are not in tune with Krishna, they don't know what their beginning is, what their middle, and where they will end up. That's why Yasmin Vigyate Sarvam Evam Vigyatam Bhavati. Because he's not perplexed, he's not confused what will happen in the middle or where he will end up. For him, beginning is Krishna, middle is Krishna, end is Krishna. Krishna all around.
Thank you, Maharajji. Shall we close? Or Balaram Prabhuji's hand is up.
Of
Two
course,
sentences, Balaram Prabhu.
Thank you, Maharaji. I just remembered one thought while Maharaj was speaking. He gave a nice answer, but my thought was we are looking at different aspects when we answer the questions on science or spirituality. So that's why, because both are not the same thing, that's why we feel that the answer given by the science is not appealing for the spirituality, and the reverse is also okay. So it's basically we are looking for answers in the wrong way. When we say spirituality cannot give the value of pi or whatever we say, because we are looking answer in the wrong way. That is the main point. What I see. That's it.
Can I say one thing?
Yes, Maharaj.
Merely knowing the answer as information is not good enough.
Yeah.
Without realization. So when Lord Brahma says Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadi Radhi Govinda Sarva Karan Karanam. If this information itself is full knowledge, what else is left out? But Brahma has this realization. So without realization, even perfect information, we can rely on, we can have it, but without realization, we cannot own it. We can own any information only with realization. Otherwise, 1,000 times I can recite this shloka and everything. But Brahmaji proves it, that yes, because he is devoted to Krishna, Krishna gave him the realization. And he spoke out, Ishvara Paramaya Krishna Satchidananda Anadi Radhi Govinda Sarva Karan Karanam. If one knows about Krishna as such, do you think anything else is left out? Is it not all inclusive? That's my point. But without realization, we go only that far. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Maharajji. Prabhuji, can you conclude?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you all once again for kindly participating actively and making this session very interesting and lively. So we end here. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Patit Pavana Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Patit Pavana Srila Gurudev ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Shyama Chandra Namo Namo.
Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Govind Maharaj ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Shyama Chandra.
Prabhuji, end of the meeting.